Mary Curley, a bright-eyed girl with a heart full of dreams, was born in 1971. Her quaint Connecticut town, nestled amidst dense forests, was her haven. Life was simple, a tapestry woven with the warmth of the community and the tranquility of nature. Days were spent exploring hidden trails with childhood friends, their laughter echoing through the trees. Evenings were filled with the aroma of her mother's baking and stories shared by the fireplace. Mary's world was small, yet it held a universe of possibilities in her eyes. She possessed a spirit that yearned for more, a fire that burned bright with ambition and a touch of magic. The dense forests surrounding Mary's town held a certain mystique. Ancient trees stood tall, their branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. Legends whispered of hidden clearings and mystical creatures, stories passed down through generations. Mary felt a connection to the secrets hidden within the woods. They mirrored the dreams blossoming in her heart, dreams as vast and unknown as the untamed wilderness. Each rustle of leaves and chirp of a bird spoke to her soul, urging her to chase after the whispers of her own destiny. Mary's passion for fashion design emerged at a young age. She found magic in transforming ordinary fabrics into extraordinary creations. Her sketchbook became her sanctuary, filled with intricate designs and bold ideas. Each sketch was a testament to her unique vision, a fusion of elegance and innovation. She found inspiration everywhere, in the vibrant colors of wildflowers, the graceful curves of a bird's wing, even in the simple lines of her mother's sewing machine. Mary poured her heart and soul into each design, dreaming of the day her creations would grace runways and inspire hearts around the world. Section 4. A love that nurtures dreams. Mary's parents, John and Ellen Curley, were pillars of strength and unwavering support. They recognized the spark in their daughter's eyes, the fire that fueled her passion. John, a carpenter with calloused hands and a heart of gold, encouraged Mary's creativity. He built her a design table, a space where her imagination could soar. Ellen, a woman known for her gentle nature and unwavering belief, nurtured Mary's dreams with love and encouragement. They were her anchors, grounding her while giving her the wings to fly. Section 5. A room filled with possibilities. Mary's bedroom became a testament to her dreams. Books on fashion design lined the shelves, each page filled with inspiration. Fabric scraps of every color and texture imaginable spilled from baskets, a kaleidoscope of creative potential. Dress forms adorned with her latest creations stood like silent muses, witnesses to her dedication and talent. The air buzzed with creative energy, a tangible manifestation of Mary's unwavering pursuit of her passion. It was a space where imagination knew no bounds, where a small-town girl dared to dream big, fueled by the love of her family and her own unwavering belief. Section 6. From sketches to runway lights. Years passed, filled with hard work and dedication. Mary's talent couldn't be contained within the walls of her small town. She pursued her education with fervor, honing her skills at a prestigious design school. Her unique vision, a blend of classic elegance and modern sensibility, captivated the fashion world. Mary's designs graced the pages of renowned magazines, her name whispered in awe by fashion icons. From the simplicity of her childhood bedroom to the dazzling lights of runway shows, Mary Curley had transformed her dreams into a breathtaking reality. She had become a beacon of inspiration, proving that with passion, perseverance, and a touch of magic. Mary lived on Maple Street. Everyone knew her. She was always smiling, always laughing. Her laughter echoed down the street, a bright melody on warm summer evenings. She loved to ride her bike, the wind whipping through her hair. She chased after the ice cream truck, her laughter trailing behind her. But something changed. A shadow fell over Maple Street and Mary changed with it. Her laughter faded, her smile disappeared. Mary grew quiet, withdrawn. She spent hours alone in her room, curtains drawn tight. Her bike collected dust in the garage. The ice cream truck passed by her house unnoticed. Her mother, Mrs. Peterson, noticed the change. She tried to talk to Mary. She left cookies and milk outside her door. But Mary just pushed the food away, uneaten. A deep worry began to grow in Mrs. Peterson's heart. Something was wrong. She could feel it. Mary couldn't explain it. She felt different. She felt cold all the time, and she felt watched, like something was always just out of sight, lurking, waiting. Her reflection in the mirror startled her. Her eyes seemed bigger, darker. Her smile felt foreign on her lips. A shiver ran down her spine. Who was she becoming? At night the feeling intensified. Whispers followed her in the dark. Shadows danced on her bedroom wall. She pulled the covers tight, but the whispers followed. They seemed to come from inside her head. Sleep, when it finally came, offered no escape. Nightmares plagued her, visions of shadowy figures and unseen eyes watching her every move. She woke up gasping, her heart pounding in her chest. The park had always been Mary's sanctuary, a place of swings and laughter. Now it felt different, threatening. The wind rustled the leaves, whispering secrets she couldn't understand. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, taking on menacing shapes. She felt eyes on her back. She turned quickly, but no one was there. Just the wind, whistling through the trees. Her heart pounded in her chest. Was she going crazy? She ran home, her breath catching in her throat. She slammed the door behind her, the sound echoing in the silence. She pressed her back against the door, her chest heaving. She wasn't safe. Not at home, not anywhere. That night, the feeling of being watched intensified. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Two eyes, glowing red, appeared in the darkness above her. She blinked, and they were gone. A trick of her imagination? She wasn't sure anymore. Mary needed to tell someone who would believe her. She thought of her best friend, Sarah. Sarah would listen, Sarah would understand. They sat on Sarah's porch swing, the rhythmic creaking a counterpoint to Mary's nervous words. She told Sarah everything, the strange feelings, the whispers, the eyes in the dark. Sarah listened patiently. But when Mary finished, Sarah just laughed. "It's just stress, Mary," she said. "You're letting your imagination run wild." Mary wanted to believe her, but deep down, she knew Sarah was wrong. This wasn't stress, this was something else, something sinister. Disappointment washed over Mary. She had hoped Sarah would understand. Now she felt more alone than ever. If she couldn't tell Sarah, who could she tell? The whispers grew louder. The shadows grew darker. Mary felt trapped. Trapped in her own life, trapped in her own skin. She stopped going to school. She couldn't bear the thought of facing the curious stares and whispered rumors. She couldn't bear the thought of leaving the house, leaving the relative safety of her room. Her grades plummeted. Her teachers were concerned. Mrs. Peterson was frantic. She tried everything, doctors, counselors. Nothing seemed to help. Mary retreated further into herself. She barely spoke. She barely ate. Her once bright eyes were now dull and lifeless. The light had gone out. The whispers had won. They filled her head, a constant chorus of dread and fear. She was theirs now. She could feel it. The date is etched in the minds of everyone who lived on Maple Street. November 15th, 1986, the day Mary Peterson disappeared. Mrs. Peterson knocked on Mary's door that morning. No answer. She knocked again, her heart pounding. Silence. She slowly opened the door. The room was empty. The window was open. The curtains billowed in the wind like ghostly fingers reaching out. A single sheet of paper lay on the bed. A strange symbol was drawn on it in what appeared to be blood. Mrs. Peterson's blood ran cold. She knew in her heart that her daughter was gone. The police searched for weeks. They found no trace of Mary, no clues, no witnesses. She had vanished into thin air. The whispers on Maple Street grew louder. They spoke of shadows and unseen eyes. They spoke of a darkness that had consumed Mary, and they whispered a chilling question: who would be next? It was a Tuesday, October 2nd to be exact. The leaves were turning, painting the small town of Maplewood in hues of gold and crimson. The trees stood tall, their branches swaying gently in the cool breeze, as if waving to the passers-by. The air was crisp, carrying the sweet scent of autumn. The aroma of freshly fallen leaves mixed with the distant smell of wood smoke from chimneys, creating a nostalgic atmosphere. 10-year-old Mary Curley skipped ahead of her father, humming a tune she had learned in school. Her steps were light and her spirit even lighter, as she enjoyed the simple pleasures of the day. They were walking home from the park, their laughter echoing through the quiet afternoon. The park had been filled with the sounds of children playing, dogs barking, and leaves rustling underfoot. Mary's father, John, trailed behind, his eyes on his daughter. He marvelled at her energy and zest for life, feeling a deep sense of pride and love. He watched as her bright red coat, a birthday gift from her mother, flashed between the trees. The coat stood out vividly against the autumn backdrop, making her easy to spot. John smiled, a wave of contentment washing over him. Life was simple, good. He cherished these moments, knowing how fleeting they could be. They were just a block away from home when Mary, ever the adventurer, darted down a side street. Her curiosity often led her to explore new paths and hidden corners of their neighborhood. "Shortcut!" she called out, her voice ringing in the air. It was a familiar game they played, finding new ways to reach home. John chuckled, shaking his head. He admired her adventurous spirit, even if it sometimes made him a bit anxious. "Don't be long, Mary. Dinner will be ready soon," he called out, his voice carrying a mix of affection and mild concern. John continued walking, his pace leisurely. He enjoyed these walks, a time to unwind and reflect on the day. He reached their street, expecting to see Mary waiting impatiently at their front door. The familiar sight of their home brought a sense of comfort and routine, but there was no sign of his daughter. The front door was empty, and the usual chatter was absent. He brushed it off, thinking she was hiding behind a bush, waiting to surprise him. It wouldn't be the first time she had played such a trick. "Mary? Very funny," he called out, a playful smile on his face. Silence. John's smile faded. The silence was unusual, unsettling. He quickened his pace, a knot of worry forming in his stomach. His mind raced with possibilities, each more troubling than the last. He scanned the street, his heart pounding in his chest. The once familiar surroundings now seemed ominous and foreboding. "Mary?" he called out again, his voice laced with urgency. The playful tone was gone, replaced by a father's growing fear. John ran. He ran faster than he ever had, his mind racing with terrifying possibilities. Each step felt like an eternity, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He checked behind every tree, every parked car, his heart sinking with each empty space. The neighborhood, usually so familiar and safe, now felt like a labyrinth of dread. Panic, cold and sharp, began to set in. His thoughts were a chaotic whirl, each one more horrifying than the last. He reached the corner where he had last seen Mary. The memory of her laughter echoed in his mind, a cruel reminder of what was now missing. Nothing. His daughter, his little Mary, was gone. The street, once bustling with life, now seemed eerily silent, amplifying his despair. John stumbled back, his hand flying to his mouth to stifle a scream. The world around him blurred, his vision clouded by tears. His phone. He needed to call the police. The thought brought a sliver of hope, a chance to find her. His fingers fumbled as he dialed 911, his voice shaking as he choked out the words, "My daughter? She's gone? Mary? Missing?" Each word felt like a dagger to his heart. The operator's voice, calm and reassuring, was a lifeline. She asked for details, her tone steady, providing a small comfort in the chaos. John gave them his address, a description of Mary, his voice cracking with each detail. He described her favorite dress, the one she was wearing, hoping it would help. Within minutes, the street was flooded with flashing lights. The urgency of the situation was palpable, the air thick with tension. Police cars screeched to a halt, their sirens slicing through the quiet afternoon. Officers jumped out, their faces set with determination. Neighbours emerged from their homes, drawn by the commotion and the look of sheer terror on John's face. They whispered among themselves, their concern evident. The police spoke to John, taking notes, asking questions. Each answer felt like a step closer to finding Mary, but also a reminder of how much time had already passed. John clutched a photo of Mary, his eyes fixed on her smiling face. He whispered a silent prayer, hoping against hope that she would be found safe. News of Mary Curley's disappearance spread through Maplewood like wildfire. The once quiet and serene town was now buzzing with anxiety and fear. The idyllic town, where nothing extraordinary ever happened, was now the epicenter of a parent's worst nightmare. Maplewood, known for its friendly neighbors and safe streets, was now a place of uncertainty and dread. Fear, palpable and suffocating, seeped into every corner. The once bustling streets were now eerily quiet, as if the town itself was holding its breath. The local news arrived first, their cameras capturing the raw emotion etched on John's face as he pleaded for his daughter's safe return. His voice, cracking with desperation, echoed through the town, reaching the hearts of every resident. Then came the national media, their satellite trucks lining the street, broadcasting the story of the missing girl to homes across the country. The story of Mary Curley's disappearance was now a national headline, drawing attention from all corners of the country. Volunteers, their faces etched with concern, fanned out across the town. They organized search parties, coordinated efforts, and left no stone unturned in their quest to find Mary. They searched parks, playgrounds, and wooded areas, their flashlights cutting through the growing darkness. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow was scrutinized as hope and fear battled within them. Missing posters bearing Mary's smiling face and her bright red coat appeared on every telephone pole, every shop window. The sight of her innocent face was a constant reminder of the urgency and gravity of the situation. Hope, fragile and flickering, hung in the air, fueled by the collective determination of a community united in their search for a missing child. The candlelight vigils, the hugs, and the support from neighbors showed that in times of crisis, Maplewood stood together stronger than ever. Days turned into nights, each hour stretching into an eternity for John Curley. The police, working tirelessly, followed every lead, however small. They interviewed neighbors, classmates, anyone who might have seen Mary that afternoon. They scoured the area using search dogs and helicopters, leaving no stone unturned, but every lead led to a dead end. Every witness interview, every forensic search yielded nothing. The case, once a missing child investigation, was now shrouded in mystery, the lack of evidence more chilling than any clue. John, his face etched with worry and fatigue, clung to the hope that his daughter was still alive. He replayed their last moments together, searching for any sign, any detail that might lead him back to Mary. Sarah, Mary's best friend and classmate, couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. They did everything together, shared secrets like only 10-year-old girls can. But lately Mary had been acting strange, withdrawn. She confided in Sarah about a man she had seen watching her from a distance, a man in a black car. Mary described him as tall and thin, with a scar above his left eye. Sarah, at the time, dismissed it as Mary's overactive imagination. But now, with Mary gone, the memory sent chills down her spine. Sarah knew she had to tell someone. She gathered her courage and approached Detective Miller, the lead investigator on the case. Miller, a seasoned detective with a world-weary demeanour, listened patiently as Sarah recounted Mary's story. He didn't dismiss it, not entirely. He knew that sometimes the most valuable clues came from the most unexpected sources. A break in the case came a week later in the most unexpected of places. A group of teenagers exploring the abandoned quarry on the outskirts of town stumbled upon a child's backpack. It was Mary's. The backpack, lying open on the dusty ground, contained her favourite book, a half-eaten granola bar, and a crumpled drawing of a girl with bright red hair. The police descended upon the quarry, their hopes reignited. Forensic teams meticulously combed the area, searching for any trace of Mary. They found footprints, small and faint, leading away from the backpack and towards the road. The discovery of the backpack, while not the outcome everyone had hoped for, offered a glimmer of hope. It meant that Mary had been there, and it gave the police a new lead to follow.